Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Angry Chicken. I am Garrett Weinzerl, and I am joined today, as always, by Willie Dills Gregory and Miss Jocelyn Moffat. Welcome back, guys.
Hello.
Well, I don't know. Should we yell for Nomergon today? How are we theming the intro/outro on this one? Because last week we were making all kinds of Noyotron jokes, and this week I feel like we need to stretch a little bit more because it's.
I think we should just say "well met" because it's all paladins everywhere you go. That's pretty much all I see.
Really? Okay. All right. Yeah. I've been seeing almost nothing but warriors.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't played any warriors.
I don't think I've seen a single warrior.
I've been seeing a lot of warriors, and it was throwing a monkey wrench in my paladin plans because I was like. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves already. I was expecting us to have some really quick, fun banter at the top, and now look at this. We're already talking about Brawl. This has completely ruined our plans. Jeez, way to go, guys.
Well, we should tell everybody what the Brawl is, right? Start there.
Absolutely where we should start. So this week it is the Clockwork card dealer. It is a constructed Brawl, which means we are building our own decks from scratch this week, and the twist is that on turn 1, you are guaranteed to draw a 1 mana cost card if you have a 1 mana cost card in your deck. And this continues to be true for each turn. On turn 2, you are guaranteed to draw a 2 mana cost card if you have one in your deck. Turn 3, 3 mana, etc. Onward and upwards. Now,
has anybody been able to successfully test what happens past turn 10?
No, I've tried.
I haven't had a single Brawl get past turn 8 or 9. It just hasn't happened.
I've tried. I even went as far to make a priest deck with nothing but heals and 12 mana giants just to see what would happen. And I lived, but I drew my giants before turn 12.
I feel like there's no way that's how it works though. That it goes turn 11 you draw. First of all, there's no 11 cost card. And then turn 12, obviously there's 2 different types of cards. Or is it just it's just mountain giants, right?
The programming would still be the same though, because you would still be constantly testing for that amount of a drop of a card, and if you don't have one in your deck, whether it even exists in the game or not, I think that programming would still be there to do that check. And then if it doesn't return anything, then you get a random card. So I think that it would probably continue.
If Garrett did get to turn 12, then if that was true, he should have drawn a mountain giant, right?
But my issue is I had already drawn them.
I see.
They weren't there.
How?
I drew them naturally just from other turns when there wasn't.
Well, you need to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
He didn't put one of each. Yeah.
No.
And then 12.
I was having.
So you can never draw it before that, right?
I was having issues surviving to turn 12, so I loaded my deck up with as much stuff as I could that would heal me, and I didn't think that far ahead.
Yeah, the only way to do it then would be to play against each other where we're not trying to kill each other and just have it be because this Brawl is interesting because the deck that I ended up landing on, and I think the best decks you can do literally have 1 drop and 1 2 drop. You don't run 2 1 drop. You just run 1. Well, you're guaranteed to draw it.
That's what I really liked about this Brawl is it kind of just made me sit and think in a way I've never thought about Hearthstone, which is what the best, I feel like, constructed Brawls make you do. Which is it's well, Garrett, here's just crazy hypothetical question that will never matter. Oh, wait, it matters this week. What would be your perfect opening curve? What would be the 1 drop? What would be the 2 drop?
This. I actually remember, I can't remember whose stream it was on, but he was like, have you guys ever played Theoretical Hearthstone? And then he was like, this is how you do it. You just imagine, that it's this turn, and you just say, what card would I like to draw and then play? And then the other guy goes, okay, well, then I draw this and play that. And then you just go back and forth and see who actually wins and try to keep track so you don't, draw 3 of the same card or whatever. But, if you had the perfect thing every single turn to try to deal with what the other guy's board was, how would that go? And who would win would be the guy who comes up with a better plan, right? And now we can actually do it, kind of. It's super weird.
Kind of, except that you have to build your deck ahead of time, so you can't pick from every 7 drop in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there is that little bit of a constraint, which is what I struggled with the most in this Brawl. This is probably the first week where I have literally had 0 fun. I hate this Brawl.
Wow, you're playing the wrong decks. Yeah.
Yeah.
This Brawl is so fun.
No way. I have had no fun whatsoever because I go in with a deck. I have a plan. It's an awesome plan, except for it doesn't take into account reacting to the other guy. Although I haven't tried Secret Pally, I haven't tried Face Hunter, like all the decks that revolve around all the low drops. I've gone in and tried, like, okay, if I have a perfect curve, like 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10, and then a whole bunch of big stuff, that's kind of the strategy I've gone in with, and it sucks. Like, it really sucks.
Really?
I don't know. I've had no fun.
I went in with the exact same basic idea that you had, Justin. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to plan out turn 1 through 10, and then I'm just 20 other crazy big creatures is my basic plan. And I had a really good time. I didn't win my first game, but you make a good point though, because from the very first game, I was like, oh wait, I didn't really take into account like having to react or having removal or anything like that. But I'm not even sure you should, and that's kind of the crazy thing is we all get our perfect opening, right? But so does your opponent. So it's just kind of, it's a zero-sum game.
But then the fun isn't like, okay, like I built a great plan and then it worked. The fun is like, oh, that doesn't work. Okay, well, hold on. Let me go back and retool and figure something out that will work. And then try it and go, oh, my God, okay. And then try to come up with something that no one's thought of that could work. And that's where I landed, and it was like the funnest thing I've ever done in Hearthstone, where I ended up playing an Astral Communion Druid deck, and I was like messing around with all sorts of ways to get to, because I was like, oh, I'll definitely have it on turn 4. That's great. And then I was like, what do I do on the turns before? And then I like was doing all these weird things. I was playing like what you would call Loot Hoarder and stuff, so I would like be able to like have it die and then draw cards. And then I landed on Naturalize, Doomsayer, what you would call it, Alarmobot, Astral Communion on turn 4. And then everything else is just like giant creatures, right? So you always do that exact same 1, 2, 4, like, and generally what happens is the Alarmobot lives because you killed their stuff with Doomsayer. They couldn't play their turn 2 play. And then on turn 3 you play Alarmobot and you actually get one of the big things out of your hand. So he's on the board on turn 4 when you Astral Communion, and then you kill the rest of your hand, and then you Hero Power Face, and the next turn you draw like Alex Straza. And like that's insane. It's so fun. And I was just like tooling around, messing with stuff, and then I finally did it, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, how could I ever lose now? Like, this is impossible to beat. Until somebody played Sylvanas against me, and I lost to that. But,
I was about to say.
Because, okay, so I did the exact same thing. I actually crafted Astral Communion so that I could build an Astral Communion deck. I didn't net deck for this one, and maybe that was part of the problem. I don't know, but I tried Mage. I tried the Astral Communion deck, or a version of it. And I tried Mech Rogue, which had totally wrecked me the game before, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll try Mech Rogue.
Hold on. Where do you net deck for Brawls? Like,
there's a thread every week on competitive Hearthstone that is strictly dedicated to Tavern Brawl.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been over there, but I didn't know that there's like people posting deck lists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there's a competitive Hearthstone.
People also
nuts. Yeah.
You can find them. They're upvoted on Hearthpwn and Hearthhead, and they show up.
I guess that's true.
In the Reddit, they show up in the Hearthstone Reddit thread for the There's always an announcement post for whatever the brawl is, and usually people are
net decking.
Posting in there.
It's a whole new world, man.
Right. So the way that I did Astral Communion was, I think, turn 1, Zombie Chow. Turn 2 Ancient Watcher, because I was going up against a lot of priests and they were killing my stuff with their freaking shadow words. So I did Ancient Watcher, then Mark of the something, which gives it health and taunt, because then I was like, well, now I won't die, and then Astral Communion into all the big stuff. And then someone played Sylvanas, and I was like, crap, now I can't play my next big thing because they're just going to steal it, and then like the game ends up going forever, and then I lose anyway because I don't have stuff that actually reacts. Like I'm just like bomb, 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 bomb. And yeah, I don't know. I felt like every single time I was just playing one thing, and then the other person seemed to have removal for my one thing, but was still able to have 1 or 2 things on the board, usually that would buff each other in some way. And then I just ended up getting wrecked, and I was like, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen anybody playing.
I haven't seen anybody playing removal in all the games I've been playing. I've been seeing only like drops.
I've been
And
seeing
so it's
it.
just my drop versus your
Yeah.
drop. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not having the same experience, Stills. I was seeing quite a few priests. They were all dragon priests, which, by the way,
yeah, all
works
dragon.
really good. It was funny. I was
Yeah.
talking to our buddy Jay, who works over at Blizzard, not on Hearthstone, but he's like, yeah, I started playing Dragon Deck because when you guys mentioned Dragon Priest a few weeks ago, you said the only downside is sometimes it draws inconsistently. Not this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, this week it's insane because you could put in just like all the really good dragons and then keep like one of those. And then you guarantee that on turn 1 you're going to draw a 2/3, and on turn 2 a 2/4 with taunt, and on turn 3 a 3/5, and on turn, you know what I mean? So
Right.
and you just keep like Alexstrasza in your hand to activate them all because
Yeah.
you don't care that it's in your hand. You're like, yeah, well, I know I'm going to get. That was always the problem with Dragon Priest too. So
Yep. Yeah, no. So I saw quite a bit of removal on the priest end. They were running Shadow Word. Every priest I ran up against was running 2 of Shadow Word Death because they knew they were going to get value out of it. They were all running at least 1 mind control because on turn 10 you can just steal whatever your opponent plays.
yeah.
Priest.
Well, that makes sense. But I think the Druid deck though, like that never even gets to that. Like I was just winning on like turn 6 after my second,
Yeah, well, I mean, you're
That's
insane. I mean, you're a crazy person who thinks about Hearthstone in ways that I don't think the general public do. But
I will say that Jocelyn's right. Like the Sylvanas thing did happen to me one time, but I have my own Sylvanas. So another time it happened, and I just played my own Sylvanas and stole stuff back. And I was like, all right, cool, we're good.
yeah, you can combat it.
Yeah, and
But
actually
that's
too,
the thing,
like
though,
this,
especially with that Astral Communion deck, like you're only getting 1 every turn. The only time, a couple of times I drew my Ancients and actually was able to draw 2 cards, and that kind of helped. Then I had a couple of options. But when you're only drawing 1 card every turn, and you have to play that, whatever it is, then it opens you up to things like Sylvanas that you can't react to, and then all of a sudden they just steal your crap, and you're like, damn it! I just gave them a big huge creature on
If only
turn.
there was a 7
7.
mana silence. So when they play Sylvanas, you knew you were going to draw into a silence.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess really it's like you just by the time it's their turn 6, hopefully you've played a couple of things, so them stealing one of them isn't the worst thing ever, right? But like a Paladin's probably got other crap on the board, so they can maybe do like some other things. But it's just it's weird. Like most of the decks, because of the fact that you draw so perfectly, I wasn't having people even play multiple cards in a turn against me. Like it was always just my 5-drop versus their 5-drop, my 6-drop versus their 6-drop, my 7-drop, which was my Dr. Boom versus their Dr.
versus
Boom.
their Dr. Boom, yeah.
It's like it was just kind of like. It was just who got a little bit luckier and who traded more efficiently, maybe, and who got the initiative first. And that's why I think the Doomsayer like made the whole difference for me, because I essentially got the initiative. Because every time I did that Doomsayer play into a Larmobot, suddenly I had like an Ironbark Protector on the board when I killed my hand, right? And so like their next turn, like they just had to first deal with my big guy that was already there, and then deal with my slew of big guys that just kept coming afterwards. So I think that was when I like turned the corner, was like, oh, Doomsayer, like that works because no one's like playing early removal really. Like there's no way to deal with it when you always have it on turn 2. So
I think
you guys should try it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the opening that I was missing in that Astral Communion deck because, although I didn't die because I had that big taunt, and everything they ran into it died because obviously the Watcher has that 4 attack, which kills anything that they're playing that early in the game.
It becomes like a 4/9 or something, or 4/8.
Yeah, it's
or
4/9.
something.
Yeah, with the mark of the whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, I had that seemed like a really good idea, and I wasn't losing health, but then I was starting on my turn 5 with a creature that can't attack.
Sure.
And so I think that having that Alarmobot might be the difference, because then you already have a threat you can attack with when your whole hand is empty. Yeah. So
it was a super weird thing. It was like kind of like a luck of the draw type thing when I kind of just was looking through like what do I put. And then I started looking at other stuff, and I was like, because at first I was just putting like a zombie chow right as my 1-drop, and then I started realizing like it's better if I just kill their whatever 1-drop, right? So then I put it naturalized, and I was like, I don't even care if I give them cards. I just want to kill the first thing that comes out.
I wanted to
And
try mulch so bad.
that's actually because that's on turn 3, right? So on
Yeah.
3 you just kill whatever, and then on turn 4 you play out. That could also be a thing. I don't know. But
I
I
just
don't know.
wanted
Yeah, the
to
armor
try
bot
it. I have a
just-
gold one, and I'm
Man.
like, please just give me a reason to
Yeah,
play this card.
you're blowing my mind here, Dills. Like, I didn't even consider Alarmabot, and that just seems so genius.
it's no one's playing stuff that deals with it. And so it's like the one time I had someone deal with it was I went first and I alarm about it, and then they coined True Silver and killed it. But still, they like had to coin out True Silver to do it, and then I still Astral Communion and still like had massive like board lead after that, you know. But
Yeah.
it is weird because sometimes you can draw like just the absolute worst thing, and yeah, you get one draw. So I'm not gonna say like technically this is the best
I was
thing
gonna
you
say,
can do. But it
Maybe
was
I
the
just have the
funnest.
worst luck in the game. I don't know, but I played I think about like 6 or 7 matches this afternoon, and I was just like, I never want to do this again. I never want to play again.
Oh man, I'm so surprised you had that reaction.
I know.
Yeah.
Usually I'm all over the fun brawl stuff, but I just this one felt like it punched me in the gut.
I mean, first off, it sounds like Dill's deck will cure that for you.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Assuming I
the first
actually
deck-
go back in and do it.
No, the first deck I tried to do like a tempo mage, and it was awful. And I was like, that game was not fun because I just was behind like the entire time, and I thought, oh, tempo mage will be really good because
Tempo.
tempo, right?
Perfect
Yeah,
tempo.
and I always have the best thing on the board. But that wasn't the case. Like I got to turn 6 against the Hunter, and he dropped Savannah Highmane, and I was like, oh, Toshley seems much worse now. So, but yeah, like I think it is like that game wasn't fun. It was only until I started like thinking about weird stuff and trying to come up with something interesting. Because like the first time I did Dragon Priest, it was the same. Like that was good because I won, but it was super boring. It was like I just play something slightly stronger every turn, but it wasn't that fun.
right.
You know, this is when I started having fun with it. Was when I started doing some weird stuff, and I'm curious to see what other people come up with. So, did you guys come up with anything else besides those decks?
Not really. I was really tinkering around with Paladin a lot. I never landed on anything that was all that crazy. I hear everyone's doing Secret Paladin. I didn't do that because I was just like, well, I don't want a bunch of secrets in my deck. Because I don't know.
Yeah.
Apparently it works really well, but when I first heard, I'm like, that just you're getting your Mysterious Challenger on turn 6. Before that, you're going to draw at least one of your. I guess.
No, you won't. You're only going to draw one of them. You're
Yeah.
only ever
And
going to
if
draw
you have-
one on turn 1.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
then
point.
Won't ever draw another one. So.
Gotcha. No,
And
that is a
because
really
that's
good point.
always that's really the drawback. We talked about the drawback with Dragon Priest, but that's the drawback with Secret Paladin, right? That's why it's kind of weaker. Is you can draw your secrets at any time, and then you're kind of
Yeah.
screwed. But in this way, you're guaranteed not to have any of your secrets come out of
Yeah.
your deck until turn 1, and then turn 6 when your Mysterious Challenger pulls them all, which is exactly what you want to happen. So
All right, can I give you
it
my
makes
gut?
the deck stronger
Can I give you my gut reaction then? Why I didn't play Secret Paladin?
because you don't like it.
Because I'm a hipster and I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing.
Totally. Yeah. It is like the most common deck I'm seeing though, and the reason is, and it makes a lot of sense. The reason is turn 6 is Mysterious Challenger, turn 7 is Doctor Boom, and turn 8 is Tyrion, and that's really hard to beat. Right?
Yeah, no,
So,
I agree. Funny thing is, I played like 10 games today. I didn't see a single Secret Paladin. I saw probably 6 or 7 of those games was Warrior, and the rest were Dragon Priest. And I think I went up against one Mage. It was really bizarre, and it sucked because I was really trying to make non-Secret Paladin work, and I'm like, I can guarantee that I have Muster on 3, and I can guarantee I have Quartermaster on 5. Let's do this. Let's take this and run. And Warrior just screwed you every time because they would just Death Spite, kill all your dudes, and it was a pain. But
yeah, it is weird because like the best way to do it is to put it on the secrets, and then play Avenge on the first, like hope that Avenge is the one you have at the beginning, right? And then go
Right.
straight into Juggalo, and then you have like one Juggalo, one Muster, and then you just like kind of just try to build from there, and then get into those late games where it's just unbeatable. But it's a weird way to think about the game, and it's hard to wrap your head around. That's what I should be doing.
and for those of you who don't speak Dills, he's talking about Knife Juggler.
Oh yeah, sorry, Juggler, otherwise known as Juggalo. I think everyone listening at this point knows that.
Yeah, they
That's
know.
what I mean.
You haven't made the reference in a while, so just in case we have some
Yeah.
new listeners, I figured I'd let them in on your weird ass Dillsisms.
But I mean, it's a weird way to think. Like, this isn't how you think of Hearthstone. You think of Hearthstone as like giving yourself the best chance to do something, and like probabilities mean like I will draw a good curve most of the time. But when you know you're going to draw the perfect curve every time, it's now planning my curve to then counter the other guy's curve, what his like is likely to be.
Yeah.
And I think somebody actually made, I was reading on the regular Hearthstone Reddit, somebody had talked about, oh well, here's why Dragon Priest is the best, and it was like because on turn one Secret Pally does this, and on turn one I do this, and then he like went through every turn and was like, see, I'm always ahead if I play Dragon Priest, and I was like, that's makes a lot of sense. Like that's exactly, if you think about it in that way, you could theory craft a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But again, it is boring. I'm on Justin's side. It is boring and not very fun when you just see the same deck over and over again. It's like, well, what am I doing here? Like, what's gonna work? Like, that's different than what everyone else is doing. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I want to go back in now and try Dragon Priest. I haven't tried it, and it just seems to work out perfectly. It's insane.
It's got the best curve out there. Yeah.
It's
The weakness
nice.
of it on regular play is that you only have the 2/1 drops. If you don't get one of them, you're like kind of behind.
Yeah, you kind of you trip at the starting line, but yeah, it's just nuts. But by the way, aren't we really glad this is not how actual Hearthstone plays out week in and week out? It would be so boring.
I would
Yeah.
not be on the show anymore. I would not be playing the game. I'd just be like, nope.
Like imagine, like you know how you find a deck that you love, and over time you get kind of sick of playing it. Imagine if this was how Hearthstone was, and how much faster we would burn out on decks because our opening 10 turns would always be the same.
Always the same. Yeah, like I don't know. I was switching it up, and I think if I'd played the same deck over and over again, like that I would have hated it even more. Like at least I switched it up. I played 6 or 7 games, I can't remember exactly how many, and I played with 4 different decks. So I did the Astral Communion one, a Mage one, or sorry, I guess 3 different decks, because then I did the Mech Rogue. Because I was even like, okay, I just got wrecked by Mech Rogue. I'll try that one. It'll be good. I have a quest to do rogue things, which I never do rogue things, so I'll try
what?
that. And
All your rogue quests should be done this week, Jocelyn. We just created the best rogue deck ever on the
I'm
last show.
so bad. I'm
Oh,
so bad
no.
at rogue things that I'm just like, I think I went 2 and probably like 12 with that deck.
Oh, no.
Wow. Oh.
I'm so bad. I don't know what
Wow.
I'm doing with rogue. Like I'm really
Our
my
subreddit's like
rogue
full
is
of
still.
owning with it right now, which is like
I
I think
know.
the funniest thing ever.
I think so too.
It's amazing.
My favorite thing all week so far from our deck building segment was I want to give him credit. Gordon Freeman, spelled with a 4 for the F on Twitter, said that at first he thought he was facing a random pirate rogue on ladder, then he got burgled. And I'm just
That's
like,
amazing.
I was like, if this was like anything else, I'd be like, we probably had nothing to do with this, but that we absolutely had something to do with that, and that
that
makes
was
me,
our burgle.
that makes me just grin from ear to ear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm seeing everyone else have tons of success with that deck, but like, I mean, my rogue is still level 14. Like, I never, ever play rogue. So
If you don't have a lot of
Yeah.
experience with it, rogue can be very
Yeah.
tricky because you have to know like when am I supposed to like dagger up as opposed to do something different? When am I supposed to actually like just dagger your face because next turn I'm not going to have enough mana to play stuff anyway, or I'm going to have too much mana, so I'm going to redagger anyway. And like, there's a lot of like
Yeah.
stuff that if you're not used to those
And I found-
decisions, they don't make sense. You know?
yeah, there was a lot of times where it was like, I had already lost 1 charge on my dagger, and I was like, damn it, I should have saved that because now I can this, that, and the other thing. And most of the time I'd figured out that I should like Tinkers or whatever the case may be. But then I'd used 1 charge on my dagger already, and I was like, damn it, why did I do that? Like,
Yeah.
The next, like, I was always figuring it out, like, a turn later, being like, that was stupid. I had so many
that's-
that stupid moments in Hearthstone this week. Like, I'm having a bad Hearthstone week.
That's how Rogue works, though, man. I mean, remember when we were all playing the deck, like the decision making was really hard to figure out. We were like, well, we could do this. Okay, we got to trigger a combo. So we got to do it in this order.
We roped every turn. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's not
go back
easy,
and watch those.
But that deck,
that
I think, is
show.
actually pretty good. It's actually pretty powerful. It's a ton
Because
of burst.
Burgle.
Yeah, fun Burgle. I had some sick Burgle, man.
It's powerful and Burgle.
Wonderful.
All right, we should talk about this last thing because we're already like getting pretty deep here. But
Yeah.
I do want to talk about this. I bet this is going to be controversial. So
All right, well,
maybe we
let's kick it into emails, even though this isn't technically an email.
Hello?
No.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com, but the first discussion we're going to talk about right now is actually from the Hearthstone Reddit. Dills, take it away.
So this was somebody's Reddit post about Tavern Brawl specifically, and I was like, well, this is the perfect time to talk about this stuff. Do it on the Brawl episode. But I have a feeling everyone's going to have a strong opinion about this. And so I don't think we need to come to some sort of consensus, but I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts are. And I'm sure like people will email us about this. Maybe we can answer some of those next week or something. But basically the gist of his post was, why don't we just have access to all the cards in the game when it's when it's not pre-built Brawl decks? When I have to build my own deck, shouldn't I have access to all the cards in the game? Because then I'm going up against other people who have these whatever decks. There's no ladder, so I'm going up against who knows who. And he's got a point. And I'm just curious to what you guys think. If you're a free-to-play player or somebody who doesn't have a lot of cards, somebody who doesn't spend that much money on the game, and you don't have a lot of cards, and so something like, oh, I need to have Astral Communion to play this week's Brawl, it's unlikely I'm going to have that, right?
Yeah, that's 400 dust I'm never getting back.
Yeah, and it's like totally useless outside of the Brawl too, right? Yeah. So like that's what kind of sucks. It's like, should I be crafting stuff just for Brawl? And I thought it was an interesting topic. I'm going to disagree with him, and I'm going to say I don't think that we should have access to all the cards for several reasons. Well, first of all, Blizzard has to make money. They make a game. They have to make money. Giving away stuff doesn't really factor into that. And secondly, having cards, I think, needs to be special. And like earning cards needs to be special. And like we kind of water it down the more we like say that it doesn't matter what your collection is. So, I think that it's better if like, oh, well, I have this card, I can do this. And then my last point about it is I think it hurts creativity, I guess you could say, when everybody would just have every card, because then everyone would just go like to wherever you guys find your Brawl net decks, and they would build exactly the same deck everybody else had, regardless of what
That was going to be my first point.
Yeah,
I don't.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that point a little bit, because I think that, especially in Brawls that seem to be like the ones that we've had in the last 2 or 3 times where we've had to construct a deck, for the most part, the popular decks on ladder seem to do really well. Like this time, Dragon Priest and Secret Pally. I think there was one that was like either face or mid-range hunter was really powerful. So if I'm a player that doesn't have a lot of cards, the advice that we give to new players all the time is dust everything for the decks that like you're not going to play. Make that 1 or 2 core decks that are really good and play those. So I think that like people who play like that come into a Brawl like this and say, oh, I already have all the cards for Secret Pally, so I'm just going to play Secret Pally. Whereas if I had access to the whole entire collection, I would have more chance to experiment and like chance to kind of think outside the box and do things like Alarmabot. But if I've been dusting every single thing that comes in that I wouldn't normally use, then I don't have some of those options. So that's kind of my counter to your creativity argument. I think people can have the option to be a lot more creative when they have every single tool in the toolbox.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I also think that I would never recommend to people to dust everything. I do understand like you don't have all the cards, but my whole thing is like, well, you never know when that card's going to be good, right? And I would rather just keep them all. I do dust, like on my free-to-play account, I deal with this all the time. I dust my golden versions of cards that are pretty bad, But I pretty much just keep everything just under the pretext that like it might be good one day, right? And then when it comes to this brawl, it's like I think not having all the cards and having to figure something out is kind of an interesting thing. And I get that it's tough for people who don't have them all, but then it's also just like here's another place where you don't have to like where it doesn't matter what your collection is, right? So now we've got constructed does matter, arena and brawl doesn't matter. So now like two-thirds of the game is doesn't matter what your collection is.
Would it make
and
you?
the other third, you know what I mean? Like it's like we water down like why it matters to have cards.
Would it make you feel better if our goldens mattered in our arena draft?
Well, I would anyway, but you know, I mean, just like you have now two places where the the card collection like literally means nothing. That's what I'm saying. Like and I don't think Blizzard would ever make this move because of that. Like,
But Tavern Brawl is supposed to be kind of like a testing ground, sort of a fun place. There is no ladder. The only reward you can get is outside of like you can do your quests, you can do your 3 wins for 10 gold, and you get your 1 card pack. So it's not the same sort of a place as ladder or even arena in terms of rewards. There's not as much available to you. So I think if anywhere like this is the place to kind of pull new players in. I have a lot of people I know that have picked it up since Brawl came out who are like, oh my God, Brawl's so fun, and whatever else. And it gives them a chance to kind of get in there and play in a casual way that really, once they get their first win, doesn't matter to them. And so I think if we're going to, and I guess not we, but if Blizzard were going to, I think they should think about maybe opening up the card collection for constructed. I think that like for constructed weeks, like there's so many new players. Like that's what the mode is aimed at. Like, I mean, I don't play it, and I know you guys have said too, like past the first day or two, like you get your 10 rounds in or whatever, and then you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm done. I'm going back to arena, or I'm going back to constructed, which is where I play because I'm competitive and that's where I want to be. So I think Brawl's meant to be fun, and if new players aren't having fun because they're constantly getting wrecked by other people who have full collections, why not give them more tools?
I think new players would still get wrecked. I don't think that would make it. And I also think that similar to the argument about more than 9 deck slots, suddenly having the entire collection at your disposal might not necessarily be a good thing for a new player as well. It's just not a digestible amount of cards, and to just suddenly be thrust in front of your face like, okay, now you have 650 cards or whatever, build the deck. That actually I don't think is necessarily a positive for a newer player. So I don't like I feel like gathering cards and collecting cards over time is important, and there's another mode where it makes it feel important, right? And like you have like something to shoot for, right? And like, oh man, Tavern Brawl's hard. Oh, if I only had that card, is something that I think Blizzard wants players to feel. Like they don't want players to feel like. Some players might just like go, well, I just won't play constructed. I'll just wait for the brawl to come out where I have all the cards, and then I'll play that until it goes away, and then I'll wait 2 more weeks. So I for Blizzard's side, I don't think they'd ever do this. Just as a player, I'm like, I don't know if that would necessarily make it healthier, but I do also get the frustration.
What if it was every once in a while? Like, what if it was like one of the themes of the brawl was this week you have access to all the cards, have fun.
Sure, if that was a brawl.
Yeah, if that was a brawl.
But then, for me that would suck. But that's fine. Like whatever. I'll take a week that sucks for me if it's like amazing for someone else. That's totally fine.
I mean, I'm sure that it would there would be some other tweak to normal Hearthstone rules, I would think. But I mean, they did it where they unlocked all of the mana, so why not unlock all of the cards?
Yeah. What do you think, Garrett? Where do you stand on
I was about to ask, does anyone care what Garrett thinks?
Yes, we care what Garrett thinks. Sorry.
I am horrendously indifferent on the topic. I don't give a flying crap what they do in Tavern Brawl. It is a very fun, but quite frankly, a throwaway mode. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on the health and the longevity of Hearthstone if they go either way on this. And unfortunately, it looks like that they're going Dill's way and not yours, Jocelyn, because it's just how it is already. It also, God knows how hard or not hard it might be for them to program this in to just unlock all the cards.
It probably wouldn't be that hard to program it, but I will say this though. I don't mean to sound like insensitive, but I get a little bit like my mind gets a little boggled by the guy who goes, "I'm a free-to-play player. I should have all the cards." And like that argument, right? Like
I don't think that's what the argument is though, because it's not like they have the whole
kind of.
It's not like they have
the argument, right?
But it's for Tavern Brawl. It's
for Tavern Brawl.
It's for a mode with nothing attached to it other than one card pack a week.
I understood, but like if this was the case, like if Blizzard did do this, they would probably take away 10 gold per 3 wins. They would probably take away like the pack. They would probably be like, well, look, if we're giving you all the cards to play with, like why are we giving you rewards too? Like
I don't think that they'd take away the pack, but they might disable quests and they might disable your 10 gold for a win thing. Yeah, I could see that happening, and
I don't want that to happen. I like this as being like another way to progress as a free-to-play player. Like to me, like on my EU account, I actually have more fun with Brawl and care about it more because it's like I need that pack, and like this is another few games to play to earn some gold. So like I kind of feel like I get that feeling of what it's like to not have a lot of cards a little bit. And it's like, this is another way to get packs. I think that's good. And that would kind of go away a little bit, so. But I think all points are valid. I think everyone's made valid points here. I don't think my point of view is like the correct one at all.
Cool. Alrighty then. Well, I think that's where
I'm sure we're going to get emails, by the way.
I'm positive we will. I'm sure we will. Send them to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Keep them short. But that's going to do it for this week's Tavern Brawl episode. Big thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC because this episode would not exist without them. So this week we wanted to thank, I keep saying this week as if there's only one episode a week now. Thanks to the patrons.
This episode.
There are two. This episode, we wanted to thank Jeff G, Robert R, Chris B, Tyler C, and Adam B. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Also, if you're dropping us...
We got to rate it. We got to rate it.
Okay. I
need to put this into the notes so we don't forget.
Yeah, this is so dumb and throwaway, like Tavern Brawl at times. I give it 4 faulty gnomish toasters out of 5.
All right.
I give it my grandmother's 70-year-old pair of dirty socks.
Damn.
I didn't know we were gifting the Brawl something here.
I give it 1 massive alarmo boner.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, that's wow. Oh, I love that.
This Brawl is awesome.
Oh God, I'm such a sucker for a boner joke. Thank you so much, Dills. Oh, that's great. Sorry, children. You broke the show, Dills. Well, way to go. Way to go. Thank you to those of you who are leaving us iTunes reviews. Really appreciate those as well. If you listen to us on iTunes and you haven't done so already, drop us a review. It helps the show out quite a bit. Thank you to Don Wong Prapan. Thank you to Cramsy86. Thank you to Jeff Rags, who says Patron is a thing. Thank you to BW, and thank you to Math Magician, who said that we are a prime example of power creep. Quote, the quality keeps getting better.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you, Math Magician. That's so kind
guy.
of you. The Angry Chicken is produced by eMove.tv, frogpants.com, and our Patreon producers, Declan H, LVE, Topher L, Barry Scott L, and Christian M. There's a lot of you guys now. Actually, I believe that's all 5. Past live shows and other videos can be found on youtube.com/amovetv. Our t-shirt is on slashloot.com. You can follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast, on Facebook /amovetv, and on Reddit at tacpodcast.reddit.com. Catch the main show on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv and also on alphageekradio.com. And big thanks to BrianGriffithMusic.com for our intro music. Dills, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Fridays, which is actually tomorrow, on the Instance, hopefully. And you can also find me on my own Twitch channel playing a lot of Hearthstone and some Heroes and whatever else, GTA and stuff. I will be actually on tonight giving an arena lesson to somebody and then playing some Casino Mage, which I find incredibly fun. So everyone check that out later if you want to. And Stormcast on Mondays after Angry Chicken, before Torture Cast. That's my Monday from now on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite awesome.
Yeah. But hey, look, pack it all into one day, and then my Sundays are much chiller. It's going to be good.
Awesome. Joss, where can folks find you?
That's-
Are you still
You all
laughing?
right?
Are you still laughing about?
I'm just still laughing at your alarm.
On my rating?
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter at Joss Plays, which is the same as my Twitch channel. You can also find me every Wednesday on A-Move TV doing The Gamers In, which is my general gaming podcast. We're also streaming tonight with the community, and that will be over at twitch.tv/JossPlays. Okay, I'm done.
Wonderful. Follow me on Twitter at GarrettArt. I'm over at nomoonart.com for my graphic design work. I'm on Into the Nexus talking Heroes of the Storm right after the, well, not right after the show, but a couple hours after the show if you're watching live. And I'm also on The Angry Nerd talking to myself at amove.tv/angrynerd. Check out our sponsors, DocSystems.com with the code TAC. We'll get you a free solid state drive added onto your gaming rig. And that will do it. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!